Okay, folks, welcome back. Well, we're kind of at a standstill because I'm waiting for my tracks to dry from last night. Got extra tracks for the Panther to dry. And we got to keep the momentum going. What's this? The antenna? All right, we'll come to that. Let's clear this work area here of stuff. A lot of stuff that I don't necessarily need right here needs to go somewhere else. What is this? Oh, this is decals for the Matador. I bet they're no good. Old, been sitting in somebody's attic for who knows how long. Okay. So, we can't move farther on that. So, it's time to keep the ball rolling. This is the last complete, well, I'm assuming it's complete, thing I can build. Now, I don't know how much this thing retails for. I bet it's close to $30. I just saw Dragon $10. I'm like, I'm getting it. 172nd Dragon M4A3 105 millimeter HVSS. Well, somebody's attempting to sell it on eBay for $54. Well, this doesn't cost $54. That's extreme. Here's one on eBay for $24.50. $31.50. You know, easily half off, a third off, maybe. Now, I already have one of these by Fujimi, and how did I get that one anyways? I think that was an estate sale. Already built. Nice artwork right next to another one that's here. It's got the blacked out stars, which I used to really hate the way that looked. New cartograph decals. It's got this new Dragon type of tracks, which I'm a fan of. I've only put together one of those. Newly tooled first aid box. Okay. Travel gunlock can be molded in travel or combat modes. That's unique. Driver and radio operator hatches can be molded open or closed. That's also unique. Okay, let's see what we got here. Hey, good morning, Marcus. Dragon, not cheap. Yeah, I used to call them DML. That's what they used to be called in the early 90s when they showed up on the scene. DML, which might be Dragon Models Limited or whatever, but I'm pretty sure those were made in Hong Kong when Hong Kong wasn't under the thumb of you know who. So last night we got our Jeffrey. I don't know. I replied to your comment that you put on my video. I don't know what you were talking about. You made a comment to one of my comments, and I don't know what I was talking about because that was, when I have a video that's like an hour and a half long and there's a comment regarding one thing I said, I'm like, oh, I don't know what it was that I said. So I couldn't reply to that. Sorry. Okay, we got some Israeli decals here, which I don't have a Super Sherman, but man, they are definitely attractive vehicles. Look at this thing. Look at the snout on this thing. (1967) Jordan front. Oh, these for all 6-day war. Well, that sucks. Because I would only do, if I did Middle East armor, which I'm not, why would I do that now when I walked away from two T-62s from Eschi that I could have been building? Yeah, they probably had terrible track on them. I'm not getting into that. But if I did, it would only be for 73 war. Only. That one's super interesting. And the subject of the first war game I ever played. So. Ever considered second ammo camouflage? No. And here's the reason why. It looks great. Except for one thing. You don't put the stars on them. So you basically put something cool and you make it look bland. That's why. Go look, and there's no second armor tanks with the stars on them. It definitely looks better. It's not that. It's like, I don't want to do an American tank with like, oh, you forgot to put the stars on them. No, they don't have them on the side. Because then it does away with the camouflage. Holy small parts, Batman. Oh, look at these clevises here. Really, really small parts. Really, really small parts. Police harassment. All right, now let me read the comment now. I'm not an anti-cop person by any stretch of the imagination, but they need to stop being like all like uppity and getting people shit for no reason. Let's pull our records out, okay? And then we'll see who's gonna arrest who. Who's gonna question who? Don't give them an excuse. Even homegrowns are not safe. This was in the old regime. Now I had somebody that wanted to get smart with me and said that, I said something to somebody else in Spanish. I said, you can't say that anymore. I'm like, you reading too much fucking propaganda. We were speaking Spanish here before we spoke fucking English here. My wife called me at work, which is unusual. She called me at work probably 3 or 4 years ago. This 3 or 4 years ago. Maybe it was 2. I don't know. I lose my track of time at work. And she says, "Hey, did you get a call from Deputy so and so?" Like, that's like call and deputy in the same sentence are things that are not in my vocabulary. I'm like, "No, I didn't. Why?" "Well, here's his number. He needs to talk to you urgently. He said he called. He needed to get a hold of you." I said, "Okay." So I call him back, and I'm respectful. I'm not one of those people who wants to be disrespectful to cops, but don't treat me like a fucking criminal either, right? Like, it goes both ways. They work for us, okay? I don't need them to do anything for me, but they work for us. So I call this guy up. I said, "Hey, I understand you're looking for me. Are you Antonio, whatever?" "Yeah." I said, "Okay, well, we have a thing here that I'm sitting like the intensity is like building. Like, what could this fucking be around? Like, could you know, that I show a crooked cross on the internet and it came back to haunt me or something like that on a model." He's like, "Well, we have I notice here you received a summons to appear in court for jury duty and you didn't." I'm like, "First of all, you're making this big of a deal out of jury duty." And I'm like, "No, the last time that I went was on such and such a day, and it was excused, and the guy decided, and I have the email where I was excused for it, and we went there, and they decided to negotiate, and there was no jury duty needed." "Oh, well, you sure?" "Yeah." I said, "Well, you live at such and such an address?" I'm like, "No, that's my dad, and he's been deceased for 4 years, or 5 years, or however long it's been." "Oh, okay, no further questions." Like, get your fucking shit together, government. You guys always hire the dumbest workers? Get your shit together. Yeah, they come at you with a fucking attitude. It's like, oh well. What kind of decals we got here? 752nd Tank Battalion, Italy, 1945. 20th Armored Infantry Battalion, 10th Armored Division, Germany, 45. Well, regardless, we're going to have extra decals here. Is there more? But wait, there's more. Oh, this looks like a shit show. Okinawa. Oh, it's bad enough that you're surrounded. Oh, and this is the one that has the the stars that are like painted over with mud. Armored Infantry with Austria. Yeah, well, we're not doing it. It's bad enough that you guys are surrounded in a freaking hole with planes flying overhead, and then, oh, we'll encounter a Sherman. Oh, it's got a 105 too. Like, yeah. All right, let's find out what's wrong with these dragon instructions. Oh, and there's photo etch. Oh, that's Jeffrey's favorite. That's Jeffrey's favorite. I got the photo itch. Why is that? You're allergic to it. I don't, it's gluing the photo etch and folding the photo etch. If I got to do folds, I mean, I can't fold a fitted bed sheet. I certainly don't need to be folding photo etch. Okay. B sprue, A sprue. Yeah, these dragon guys love doing this. Like they farted in here and then seal it up quick so they can smell it in America. I know, so a piece doesn't fall out. Well, that is a really thin 30 cal machine gun. can't believe they make like those sprue holder things, like the little filing things where you just put all the sprues in. Like, it takes up too much space. Like, why would you seal this up? Like, well, make sure the pieces don't fall out. It's one piece, asshole. Somebody in the factory going, oh, this fun sealing things. Do more, do more. Looks small. I mean, it looks really small. Doesn't look like 1/72. But it is. Okay. You get used to looking at the Panther. Is the Panther that much bigger? Yeah. Wow. I had no idea. I mean, a Sherman's a big tank. Not to be outdone. Gotta make sure the hull is sealed up as well, too. At least this comes in a box that has a top and bottom. So we're going to work as long as we can with this, and then we'll go back to the Panther. But the Panther's tracks are, I'm going to let them sit for 24 hours. I want to make sure that they're cured completely. But then this piece isn't in a bag. Tracks. We'll cut all this stuff and then we'll put it back in. I was just looking through Panther pictures. I don't know if there's a single tank I have come across in recent years where I have more options to paint it in different ways than the Panther. I mean, it is insane. And these guys make some real precise stuff. So I'm always surprised when they do like a review of one of these kits on 1/72 on the way or something like that. That they say, yeah, the Dragon did this inaccurate, and they made this inaccurate. I'm like, well, why go through all the detail of making these pieces super detailed? Well, this is interesting. There's a little bug in here, it's dead. How do you get in there? There's a little breathing hole here, I guess, so it doesn't. Okay, we'll move that off to the side. Okay, what are we starting with? All the road wheels, which are on A. Well, it should be. Oh, that A means something else. Okay. These are all D pieces. Got it. Let's put all this back. Yeah, I was all excited about these drill bits I had gotten for Harbor Freight to use for the Dremel. And then I'm like, man, I could use those with the hand drill. And then I broke one of them on plastic. I'm like, well, that's a piece of crap. A metal drill that breaks on plastic. Like, just putting the PSC 250/9 together. Rapid Schlepper next. That's what I need. Hey, I need some side suspension to that thing. That will iron itself out. Worst case scenario, I'll make a wreck out of it. I paid $3 for a wreck. Not whatever. You win some, you lose some. Now that I think about it, I had a dream that I bought an LCM Airfix LCM 3 with the Sherman. I got a lot of shit. I got a lot of shit going on, so it's not like there's a lack of things to do. But I don't think I'm going to paint any Pacific Infantry. Marines that I have, all the cool nips that Marcus sent me, the other nips that I have from, I don't think I'm painting any of those guys until I make some terrain for the Pacific. So, anyhow, I just wish it was a little cooler in the garage. It's just way too hot. I don't want to come home from work and go spray in there. Okay. I gotta make 6 of these. Yeah, we won't get them done today. D2s. Okay. D2's the outside, D8's are the other ones. Okay, so we need 12 D2s then, because it's 2 times 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What's these guys right here? Now, the Dragon plastic is a little here, a little there. It's not too brittle. It's not too soft. Really, every model, if you had to make every model and mandate, you want to go on a mandate? No, that doesn't sound like my kind of thing. I don't like mandates. Did you kiss on the first mandate? No, I don't like mandates. If you had to make a mandate for what color plastic had to be used for plastic models, light gray like this is the color to use. It is the best one. You can see the most details with it. I could make a case for black, but black just isn't really pop. Just doesn't make sense. I got those pieces from the Rodin kit that were in black, and they were a challenge sometimes. Mainly because they're glossy. I got the decal papers coming in at the end of the week. I gotta do a lot of reading before I ruin a third of my papers. And that is new territory for me. Making the decals, that's not a problem. I can handle that. Like designing them, I got that. But I thought, if I got to get white decal paper, because you need it if like you've got some, I'm going to get some British roundels for, some of their vehicles. I think I am going to do these. Well, let me not speak out of turn. I better shut up. I'm closer to making them Italy. Let's put it that way. I'm closer to making them in Italy. But anyways, if I'm gonna get white decal paper, why shouldn't I just go ahead and print a bunch of like U.S. numbers, print some nicknames already in like the military font, so I can have a mix of both. Because even like the nicknames that they make, there's not a whole lot of variety. Okay, so we got all that. Let's trim all these up. This works much better than sanding them down, just from a standpoint of having somewhere to hold it onto it. One. You could convert 8th Army for Burma. It doesn't interest me. You know why it doesn't interest me? How they're painted. The vehicles are just painted like one color. I mean, I like the idea of Burma. I don't like how the vehicles that went to Burma were painted. Go look them up. They look ugly. I mean, that's what the British are known for. They take American. That's what the British are known for. That's what I say the British are known for. They take American kit, something that looks, and they make it interesting. They put cool camouflage. They put a shark's mouth on it. They do, they put these unit decals that are better looking than the German stuff. German has some cool looking stuff, but the unit markings on Commonwealth and British and Commonwealth vehicles are superior to German ones. They're colorful. The India stuff had some stuff over, but then they're painted like all in one color, and it's this ugly green. It's like a parrot cage green, parrot droppings green. I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, if I came across like some Lees or something like that, but of course I could make my own camouflage scheme. I mean, it is an imagination. I mean, it is a make believe island or a make believe landmass. Whoa! Off to India! I have something that came across the other day, and I think Marcus would find this really interesting. So, of course, I'm going to pull it out because I don't have to get anything done. I know where it is. And this is one of these things that I printed a long time ago. I probably printed this 20 years ago. I had printed a couple of these articles, and I don't know where I found them, but the website's probably on the bottom of it. And it probably doesn't exist anymore. It's always the one. Alright, motherfuckers. I'm tired of you always being in my way. I have 3 of these. 2004. This was printed in 2004. My daughter wasn't even born yet. This is a GeoCities site. Wow, remember those things? There might be one of those still around. So there's 3 articles that I came across. This one's 124 pages long. Mine and countermine operations in the Battle of Kursk. Never read it. I mean, there's decent detail in here. Anyways, that's not the one we're talking about. We're also not talking about this one. Rangers of Point du Hoc. Something about Point du Hoc just doesn't interest me at all. I just find it extremely, not boring, but like it has to be a certain way. Oh, you didn't make the terrain. It doesn't exactly look like that way there. I mean, it's just too restrictive, right? Cassie's battalion, which I guess is like, that's a paratrooper thing, but this is the one I was talking about. Santa Maria Infante, 351st Infantry, 11th through the 14th of May 1944. There's some really detailed stuff here. This is small unit actions. I guess it's under www.army.mil website, and it's this action in Italy. And I haven't gotten to this in the Italy book. that I'm reading, and hopefully it's there. But I was looking for stuff the other day. But look at this. Look at what we have here. Let me just flip to one of the pages in here. And this is all hills. They're fighting over hills. And so what is this stuff? This is like individual squads and stuff. Here's the town. You know, he had no idea where to find other troops of Company F. Believed to be ahead, Sergeant Pienta decided to withdraw with a few remaining men to try to contact the other elements of the company in the rear, walking along the slope near the road but dropping to the ground whenever artillery shells came. So here it literally tells you where he is. I bet you could find this on Google Earth. It probably looked different. Sergeant Pienta and his 8 men moved back towards the rear. When they reached a slope, a little knoll situated between Hill 103 and the left tit, they saw a man outlined against a crest. Thinking he was from Company F, Sergeant Pienta called out, "Hey, is that 3rd platoon up there?" The man dropped from view, and a grenade, which exploded harmlessly above the 3rd squad, answered the question. The 3rd squad did not return fire, picking up a tape line left by some other unit in advance. The men followed the marker until they reached a shell hole 150 yards north of the cemetery. Here they found Lieutenant Panich and a handful of men who had pulled back after troubles of their own on a similar search for other elements of Company F. Lieutenant Panich's story is next. And then I guess it tells you, I guess it breaks on what happened to different people, but you know, Captain Nelson grabbed an M1 rifle from one of his men and fired a grenade point blank at the machine gun, knocking out and killing 2 gunners. Interesting stuff. I haven't really looked into this. I didn't like the fact that it was amongst hills, which would be an interesting challenge to say the least. But there's some tactical kind of detail in here. You know, I mean, you got some hilly ass freaking terrain, man. Like, what in the unholy sand table is that? Anyhow, I came across that. One thing that surprised me, and it may not surprise you Britishers, but it surprised me as an American, that throughout the book that I'm reading in Italy, there's a lot of references when they're talking about a unit going into action. It might be the 36th Infantry Division, and which is one of the units in this book, which are, I believe, a National Guard unit from Texas. They're a Texas unit, and the 45th, which is there's a lot of Southwest Mexican American type of characters in that. The 45th Infantry Division, they're the ones who have that thunder. What's that thing called? The Thunderhead? I'm losing my fucking mind. Anyhow, I think in terms of divisions, and they'll say, well, they moved this up for the 136th Infantry, and it's like there's 3 regiments in each one of the divisions, and then they refer to them as the regiments instead of, like, I don't know. There's a lot of references of that. I've never thought in the form of regiments. Like, okay, well, what unit's here? Oh, the Big Red One. I don't care what the name of the regiments are. The Big Red One, and they're mentioned all the time. So I have to remember. Okay, this regiment is part of this one. This is part of the other one, and I find that unusual. I don't think of them as individual entities within the division. I think of like the division, like the thing, because they all got the same damn patch. Like you don't have a patch for the 134th Regiment or whatever regiment's in there. Yeah, it's a whoopee cushion. I don't need a whoopee cushion. I can make one of those myself. There's a misnamed thing. Whoopee cushion. That's one of those things that was bigger in the 70s. So was rubber chickens. Anything that involves rubber chickens. People in gorilla suits. Uh, Sand. What's it called? Sand traps. The sand thing where you fall in the sand and you can't get out. Wow, I'm out of RAM. Those were in everything. 60s and 70s. You'd watch an episode of Lost in Space and there'd be one of those. And like, what the fuck? You know, you're in some planet and they got that sand trap. Can't think of what it's called. You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm out of RAM. This is why I can't do drugs, man. I'd be even worse. What's the sand thing called? The mud trap, whatever. Sand mud trap thing, whatever. Those were huge when you were a kid. You're watching things like all of a sudden people would be Gilligan's Island everywhere. Every fucking show had one of those things. Quicksand. There we go. Quicksand. Every show had the fucking quicksand in it. You know, they had quicksand Lost in Space. You know, Gilligan's Island. All of them. I guess the 60s and 70s were just ate up with quicksand. I guess I got involved in quicksand a little bit the other day when I got out of the kayak. Went kayaking on this river that's kind of famous around here that I've never been on because the water's too freaking cold. And it wasn't that bad that day. I wouldn't even say the water was cold. But anyhow, we were kayaking in this kayak and rented this kayak. And this kayak, never been in one like this before, that has these holes in the bottom of it. So basically it fills full of water. So you're like, you're in water while you're kayaking. And not a lot of water, but you're in, I don't know, 3-4 inches of water. And you're sitting on the bottom of this thing. So you basically you could pee yourself. If you needed to pee, I guess you could just pee yourself and nobody would know, right? But, it's not like the water is going out of there frequently. So I don't want to get freaking burned by that. So I found a spot where I could get out of the kayak, and it's not that deep, and I'm a good swimmer, and I'm really buoyant. So I get out of this kayak, I find a place where I'm not going to step out and like step on sticks or something, and because I don't have any shoes on, and I get out to pee, and I find this sandbank. I'm like, oh, this ought to be good. Well, this sandbank and this river is basically fed by a spring, so it's clean water. It's cleanish water. You could drink it if you really wanted to. But I get out on the sandbank, and the next thing you know, I'm like, I sink all the way to my nuts. Like, literally, like, I put one foot down, and like, I mean, it's like, because it's just super, super, super fine sediment, and so I steady myself putting the other foot down, and I'm like, whatever that is, 3 feet. And it's just this area where I guess the sand had been deposited from the springs for, thousands of years, and so I was like basically in quicksand. I'm like, all right, well, I did my thing, got back, rolled myself onto the kayak. It actually wasn't that difficult to do considering how out of shape I am, and went about my business. But it was like super fine grained sediment. It was like super clean. Like I didn't even have anything on me when I got out. I was like, huh. This has just been rinsed for tens of thousands of years by, super filtered water. Water cold in Florida. Yep, for us. Yep. I do cold weather all day long, not while being wet. I don't take cold showers. Absolutely not. It could be, I don't care what temperature is outside. As long as I don't have to shovel the snow, I'm okay with it. But I'm dressed for it. I'm not wearing shorts and I'm wet. Okay, well, that laborious activity's done. Okay, might as well do all the D8s now. Got 12 of them. Oh, it's all one piece. Oh, that looks fragile. And this looks like a piece that could be flash or it may not be, and it's not. Okay, this is definitely a job for the. Okay, so there's 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cut that off, but not that little box. We got these people that come and visit us every year. And they have this house in Mexico. And you talk about taking this swim in cold water, but they can't deal with the temperature in the house being at like 73. It's too cold for them. But then they'll swim in fucking 50-degree water. Not 50-degree water, but, like 60-degree water. I'm like, fuck no. I'd have my house at, let's see, if the air conditioning was free and it wouldn't freeze a unit outside and didn't cost me any money, I'd keep the house at 60. I'd keep the house at 60. I go swimming at the beach in October in northern Michigan. You're not well. I could too, but I got a whiskey or something like that. I'm like, I'd do that as a kid. As an adult, you're like, that ain't worth it. That ain't. There's cold, and then there's your spine is chittering, and you're like gonna get a freaking backache from all the shivering you're doing. That happened to me one time. The coldest I've ever been still was when we went to go to this movie theater. I remember this like it was yesterday. This movie theater had just opened in town. This is extremely precarious. This new movie theater had opened in town, and I don't know, they had 14 theaters or something like that. This was like 1990, 89, something like that. And they were selling 25-cent movies. They were selling 25-cent movies. Now, you could go to the movies for 25 cents. But there were movies that they weren't in a theater anymore. I mean, they had just gone out. So I went to go see, what was it? Dead Poets Society, I think is what it was. So whenever the hell that came out, 1990, this would have been 91 or something like that. So I go to this movie. It's 25-cent movie or whatever. And of course it's packed because, not because it's 25 cents, but because, oh, it's a new place in town, in this place where they don't build anything. It takes them forever to build something commercial in town. When they do, it's like, you know. The hippies around here they don't want anything built because they might feel like, they're missing out on something. Well, get a fucking job, hippie. Anyhow, went to go see this movie. And I remember it was in December. And I remember it was in the 30s. It was a cold December for us. It doesn't usually get into the 30s consistently in December, unfortunately. But it didn't. I'm wearing a jacket. This is the movie theater where, I had gotten a soda, which I always get a soda. But anyhow, these people had smuggled in like a whole case of beer, and when they left, they didn't throw any of it away. They were sitting in the front row because every seat was packed in the theater, and they created like this ring of like sandbags with the empty beer cans, and they had more than 24. It was a lot. They had smuggled them, I guess, in there, whatever. At least throw the shit away, not like here's the smuggled stuff we shouldn't have in here. Have fun cleaning your shit up, asshole. Like, who does that? But anyhow. So we go through the exit in the back, walking out to the car. And I had been not moving for 2 hours, drinking a cold soda for 2 hours. And I got this cold inside of me that it hurt to walk. And I was in good shape back then because I was, I don't know, 19, 20? I've never been that cold in my life, ever. Like, my back... it was like I had gotten hit by one of those, a taser. I was like doing any kind of movement to stay warm, and it was like, I've never been that cold before. And the temperature wasn't that cold, but I was like cold on the inside too. It relaxes the body. Yeah, it's called death, Justin. It's... it's... Man, that was relaxing. What happened to him? Oh, he died. I've never been colder than that, ever. And I think it wasn't just all the, I think it was the inactivity and drinking something cold. Because, like, when I went to Breckenridge, we went to do tubing up in Breckenridge, and it was under 20 degrees. And I got my parka on, not thinking it's really that cold because it's not moist at all, so it doesn't penetrate. And here the cold penetrates, the humidity will penetrate you. It wasn't that cold. And I still had a big iced coffee with Starbucks. Probably looked at me funny. You're having an iced coffee? I'm like, yep. I don't drink hot coffee. Ever. I can deal with it if the... Oh, and then the other thing is I can't deal with hot tubs that are super, super hot because my skin is thin in a couple places. And I mean, literally, it'll fucking burn me. So you get a hot tub, they're like, oh yeah, we have the hot tub at like 110 degrees. I'm like, holy shit. Like, I can't do that. But I never understand people that they're too cold at the office. Bring a fucking sweater, man. Wear long sleeves. Do some work. Hustle a little bit. You drinking hot coffee right now? No way. Mine's cold. Never drinking hot coffee. So I don't want to do cold water. But the springs weren't bad, but it was also, about 100 degrees. That helped. And I was freaking exercising. I mean, you had to go up, you had to go upstream the whole way. So, I mean, it wasn't, well, there was a couple, we had to give up. We made it almost 95% of the way, and we could see where the end was. We couldn't, like two more turns, we're like, let's just turn around. It was just too difficult. We're stroking and stroking, not even moving on the bends. Okay, those are all done. This is like a multitude of parts. This is like, this is these two pieces here. That's these two pieces here. Along with those two pieces, you've got this small one that's got to go in there, plus these two other ones just for one suspension unit. Well, you better believe I want to assemble all this stuff before we decide to put some glue, and then we got a problem on our hands. This is going to go like this. Hold on 1 second. Cold beer, cold water, cold milk. Yeah, warm water sucks. You could add cold coffee to that one as well, for me. Okay, this is going to glue like this. I guess I need to put one of these subunits together. Make sure there's not any kind of maybe the guy took one look at this and like, I'm selling this thing. It's too complicated. I'm like, this isn't too complicated. Okay, D9 should be the same D fret. Oh yeah, these little things. Okay, there's one of them. Two parts of a D1. Yep. Ooh. a D3, and a D7. All right. I wonder at what point you decide that this thing is too dull and you need to buy another set of clippers. I feel like it's not cutting as well as it used to. And I've only cut plastic with it. But I have had it 3 years. You'd think that the problem with doing stuff like this would be it's easy to cut yourself, and I guess I've just been fortunate. You just don't have to put a lot of pressure, so it's not going to go through your skin. Unless you're being careless or modeling while intoxicated or something. Okay, I think we've got all the pieces parts now. They go together. Okay, so this goes inside this plate. Fit on it's pretty good. I was hoping I'd find a use for these things because I really like using these as well. Oh, I don't think I put any here. Okay, this tilts out towards the outside. This is over-engineered. Like if you ever come across one of these tanks in the wild, you know how to put it together. these two pieces. Goes like this. What I get the feeling the suspension is going to be really delicate. And this tells you to attach it somewhere to the back, but it doesn't tell you where. And then this and this go together like so. A couple little springy guys. I'm not sure I can tell from this. Does it fit in here sideways like this? Wow. Man, if you've got what do you call that stuff? Arthritis? You don't want to mess with this. Totally within my skill set, but hot coffee. I know I'm in the minority. Whatever. My internal heater works just fine in the mornings. Does this open more? It does, unless you connect this piece, it closes it. Well, it didn't tell you to do it in a certain order. That's why we did one of these. Let's close this. Let's pull that thing out. All right, now we have some flex. This is literally the first thing you should put in is this. Waiting for that top rod to break. That's where it needs to go. Now let me guess, it's backwards. this is the outside, and it is, then yep. Well, I know it doesn't mean a lot to anybody, but I can't recommend this. I wouldn't want to build a whole platoon of these things. Let's put it this way. All right, now the length of this seems off. Like, boy, if there's something to not put in with super glue, it's this. Yeah, if you put that there, it's not gonna. Was there was two ways to put it in? I put it in the wrong way. That's, that's what it is. That's why we did one. There we go. This is a breeze compared to the skiff model, because the skiff model you got to do all that kind of stuff. And it's not precision made. there's that little piece. It consists of so many different pieces. Okay, well, the other ones will be easier to do whenever we get around to doing them, because now we got to go to the salt mines. Try and check on the toughest model, but probably the Soviet armored train for UM models would still do another. UM is